Hello, this is Rick Saltarelli with Salty Breeze Cruise Planners with this week's segment of Beyond Your Front Door. And today is June 30th. Yes, the last day of June. The year is half over. Kind of hard to believe. Anyway, I'm coming to you today from my office. Those who follow us on a regular basis will know that we have been traveling, and I wanted to give you an update on our recent cruise on the Viking Orion. So while I want to dedicate most of this time to the Viking Orion, I am going to start with our arrival in Bermuda on the 22nd of June. I did mention last week in Beyond Your Front Door that the Bermudan government was extremely organized. It's a brand new airport, by the way, a very beautiful facility. After you clear customs, they actually have a small package which is tied in with your questionnaire that you must complete before you depart the United States. In fact, if you do not have the form completed and get what they call the green light schedule from the Bermudan government, the airline will not let you on the airplane in your U.S. departure city. So about 3 days prior to departing, you do have to fill out a form, upload your vaccination card or proof of vaccination, plus upload a negative COVID test results from a recognized laboratory. And once you do that, you will get your green light form, which you will bring with you, and that is tied into a package that is already at the airport. You'll take that package, and once you've picked up your luggage, and you will go and you will actually have another COVID test taken. It's very, very quick. And then we were off and onto the transfers and off to the cruise ship. So I kind of want to talk about that. Again, very organized. The staff were very, very friendly. So happy to see tourists coming. And the transfers between the airport and the cruise ship, which was docked in Hamilton, take about half an hour. The staff were very, very friendly. Again, very organized between, I'm assuming between Viking and the Bermudian government, but certainly there was about half the capacity on each bus. So if the bus held, 18 to 20 people, expect that there would be about 10 people on that bus. And then once we got to the port, we were ushered through the building where you check in and get your room key. And then as you board the ship, again, the staff's so happy to be welcoming people back on. The normal procedure of getting your picture taken, scanning your card that you are now on the ship. And the immediate thing that we did was we went to our muster station, which for us was in the theater, and we had our safety drill right away. And then we were invited to go to our rooms and watch the balance of the safety procedures program on our TV screen. And once that happened, we were free to start roaming the ship. We were not free to leave the ship because we were not allowed to go until we received our results back from the Bermudian government, which was fine. We did get them in the middle of the night, that first night, and our tests were negative, of course. And we were free then to travel as we wanted throughout the island. On dining on that first day, everything was open at lunchtime. We chose to eat at the grill. The hamburger was amazing, by the way. The ship is very, very beautiful. Just can't say enough about how great the experience was and how happy staff were to receive us on board. So we were so happy to be there. And as I said, the dining was all open. The restaurant was open. Manfredi's was open. The chef's table was open. The poolside grill. And you were just free to move about the ship as much as you wanted. The only place where we saw social distancing, if you will, a little bit in the dining room area, where about every second table was not in use. And the tables for 4 people and higher were limited to people that were traveling together. And we saw very little of that on the first couple of days, but as the week went through, we saw more and more people dining together. The very large tables, the largest we saw, did sit 12 people. We never did see that in use, and not likely there would have been a group of 12 traveling together. The other place we saw a little social distancing was in the theater, but they did it very cleverly. They did have the first couple of rows of the theater not in use. And then in the area in the theater where most of the people are going to sit near the back, they had these very cleverly designed and beautiful inserts that sat on the couch, if you will, and hooked over the back of the couch that doubled up as a armrest or as a place to place your favorite beverage. So very tastefully designed, and I think that that is something that we may see stay. Very well done, Viking. Great job on that. We did have to wear masks um, when we were moving about the ship and in the theater, but not in the dining, certainly not when we were just sitting around casually. And I will say that although there was a lot of mention about remembering to wear your mask, I really can't say that I ever saw it enforced. So it was really something where people were required to use self-discipline. And I would say 99% of the time that went off flawlessly. The only time that we saw perhaps a little misstep by a guest was if they were in the dining area and got up to get something that they did not put their mask on, but most people scooted back to their table and got their mask again. As far as in the World Cafe, the buffet, the food was the same, and there just was no self-service. So you would go up to your favorite food station, let the person behind the counter know what you wanted. They would dish it out. They would put out whatever quantity you wanted, and they would pass you the plate, which you would then carry to your table. Hot beverages and cold beverages were served tableside. So even though the coffee line area was a self-service design, there was somebody working there full time, and then the wait staff were moving about the World Cafe and delivering beverages to people. So it worked very, very, very well. We couldn't talk about shore excursions last week because I believe we had just had done one at that point. At this point now, we have done 4. The shore excursions were very well organized. Thank you, Viking, for a great job. The same design, the one we did in St. George's, we were basically in a taxi with one other couple. So it was a 7-passenger vehicle, and there was 4 of us plus the driver. We did several others that were on buses, and again, the same, about 10 people, 12 people maximum on a bus that's designed to hold double that number. So part of that was not only for social distancing on the bus, but also that worked out the schedule as you were arriving at the excursion place. In this case, we did visit one of the forts. So people were showing up in smaller groups. So they were spread out around the property. So kind of social distancing by design. So again, very clever, very well done. The excursion drivers were absolutely amazing. So happy to see people back. So happy for them to be busy. Very informative. Again, being Bermuda, most of them were native Bermudians. So very informative. We really enjoyed each of the excursions that we went on. As far as moving around by ourselves, we were free to do that. We took the opportunity to walk around the naval dockyards, around Hamilton, around St. George's a couple of times. I would say that most Bermudians were not wearing masks, and masks were only required if you were going inside an establishment. So free to walk around, no masks, and of course it was just amazingly beautiful. As far as daily life on board the ship, I would say that it was fairly normal, other than there was a few things we needed to do. Each day we had to provide a saliva sampling for testing. We had to fill out a 4-question questionnaire, which you could do on the Viking My Journeys app, or you could fill it out on a small form that was left in your stateroom and leave it for your stateroom attendant to pick up. And then each day we had to have our temperature taken. Was a small machine, looked very similar to an iPad that was on a stand. It used facial recognition, which worked 98% of the time. If it didn't work, you would just use your room key and tap it for it to recognize who you were. But really, for me, I would just walk up. It would recognize me right away. It would put my name up on board the screen. and would take my temperature. And of course, that worked flawlessly. And that information was not only shared uh, with the Viking health care staff, but also with the Bermudian government. It was actually a requirement for being on the cruise. And so I would say that overall for this trip, I definitely would go and do it again. Not only was Bermuda a destination for me again, but the ship was absolutely amazing. The staff were so friendly, from the officers on down. We got to meet senior officers. I had several conversations with Brian, the cruise director, and with the performance staff, who we saw out and about on the ship many, many, many times. And they remembered who we were, they knew our names, and they would engage us in conversation. And a couple of days later would follow up on that conversation. So it felt very sincere. And I might have mentioned earlier that the ship was operating at less than full capacity. We expected that, but I don't think that that made a huge difference in the way we were treated, as far as people remembering who we were, having great conversations. I had several conversations with one of the guest speakers on board the ship. And again, just everybody's so happy to be back and see back at cruising. So this is Rick Saltarelli with Salty Breeze Cruise Planners. I hope you've been enjoying our updates about Bermuda and on the Viking Orion. If cruising in the near future is something you're thinking about, or if you would like to go to Bermuda, enjoy the Viking Orion, please give us a call. The ship will be there until the middle of August. It's a cruise with excursions that I would absolutely recommend to anybody. Our telephone number is 888-332-8202. Thank you.